Over the years, I've held on tightly to one very specific memory of being a kid, away on holiday somewhere else in the UK for Christmas. My parents always took us away to somewhere pretty much in the middle of nowhere, because that place would have had great walks. I can vividly recall laying in bed in the dark, late at night, trying desperately to remain silent and not accidentally knock the volume slider on my metallic blue first-gen Nintendo DS, hiding under the covers as I trained my Labrador, called Misty, for agility trials. The game, of course, was Nintendogs. Available initially in 3 versions, all with slightly different dog breeds available, but with the main game content remaining the same, Nintendogs was a Nintendo-created pet dog-owning simulation game. Players could feed, dress, play with, walk their dogs, and so much more. Nintendogs was innovative in the way that it utilised both the touchscreen and microphone of the Nintendo DS console to allow players to interact with the game in ways we hadn't seen before. Players could touch their pets and train them to learn voice commands such as sit and roll over, to varying degrees of success. Virtual pets like the Tamagotchi had already been incredibly popular with kids, and Nintendogs promised to take this genre to the next level, which I believe it did. The 3 versions initially available in the UK were Labrador and Friends, Dachshund and Friends, and Chihuahua and Friends, although later on Dalmatian and Friends was added to this OG lineup. As a kid, I had some kind of intense obsession with anything to do with dogs. I even wrote my own fact books. And although we did have one of our own, much like a lot of kids, I always wanted more pets, unlike, understandably, my parents. So as you can expect, the arrival of Nintendogs absolutely blew my child mind away, and I'm sure my parents likely agreed on this one to keep me distracted from begging constantly for the real thing. The monetary sacrifice was definitely worth the piece. Nintendogs quickly took the world by storm, eventually becoming the second highest selling game to come to the Nintendo DS. Because of this success, Nintendo released a selection of toys for the game, including interactive soft toys. I had a couple of these myself. There were these larger animatronic dogs, and also smaller soft toys with magnets in their heads and feet, which would move and swing when in contact with the plastic magnetic bone that came with them. Years later, in 2011, in an attempt to rekindle the excitement that Nintendogs once held, Nintendo released a set of new titles in the franchise, although this time for the Nintendo 3DS, Nintendogs Plus Cats. This was also released in 3 versions, Golden Retriever, French Bulldog, and Toy Poodle. Although very popular and generally well received, these games sadly never reached the same level of success as their predecessors, although they did sell well in comparison to other 3DS releases. The drop in success could be attributed to the dampened reception of the 3DS, and the fact that these new games didn't really seem to introduce anything new over what players already had, leaving them to become tired quickly. Nowadays, the DS has had to make way for the Nintendo Switch, leading many nostalgic fans, including myself, to keep their fingers firmly crossed for a Nintendo Switch game. We do have a game developed by Imagineer called Little Friends, Dogs and Cats. However, this, although heavily inspired by Nintendogs, is not, of course, related in any way. The official Nintendo Dog void is still very much unfilled for many. However, in recent years it's been discovered that there is a chance of Nintendogs making a return. Okay, hold your horses, or poodles. We are talking a mobile game here. News has arisen that Nintendo filed a patent on January the 17th of this year, 2023. This patent discusses augmented reality software placing figures in the player's homes via use of their device's camera. The object depicted in their images? A dog. Interesting choice there, Nintendo. Odd if you've not got a specific, very popular dog game in mind. And hey, the release of a Nintendogs mobile game doesn't necessarily rule out a Switch title being released in the future, or even alongside it. If anything, this could be showing us that the franchise is still very much on their minds and hasn't been left to history as many of us have feared. Looking back at the amount of content in the original Nintendogs, it may be more suited to a mobile game in that format anyway. Well, either way, I honestly can't wait to see what's in store. My fingers are tightly crossed for the future of Nintendogs. Did you grow up with Nintendogs, or perhaps you enjoyed other virtual pet games, or just other DS games? Let me know your fondest memories in the comments down below. And on that note, I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, don't forget to drop a like/subscribe down below, and I would love to see you again in the next video. But until then, goodbye for now.
Love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't